Is it still actually possible to make 10 grand a week buying and holding meme coins? I discuss that in this video, and we cover probably 20 different reasonably well-known meme coins, and we have a look to see if there are any bullish setups. Firstly, what's the overall interest like in meme coins at the moment? This is where we kind of gauge whether there might be even a little bit of retail interest. And you can see here clearly on last 12 months Google Trends, we saw the peaks earlier in the year. That was the AI coins and the Trump coin narrative. And then we were flatlining for a while. But what's really good to see is in the last few weeks, it's picked up a little bit. And this is what we've seen in terms of volume when it comes to meme coin trading. So that's definitely a good sign, that little uptick there. That takes me straight on to this coin. So this is Ibiza's final boss. I think it's actually a really good meme, but it didn't perform very well. After the initial rally, it's kind of died off. And this leads me to my kind of first point. With newer launch coins right now, even really good memes, especially if they're kind of organic or mostly organic, this is kind of what you'd expect to see. You'd expect to see a little bit of a run up, one kind of push up, and then the meme coin basically dies off. So with this one, it's not looking bullish at all at the moment. That's looking very corrective. It looks like it's going to dump more. And there's no new volume kind of going in to this. So if you're interested in this coin, for example, I would definitely wait probably a long time to see if all kind of interest dies off and then attention kind of picks back up in future. And if it does, there's definitely some multiples there to be made, but not in this obvious downtrend right now. People are too savvy now when it comes to trading meme coins. Nobody's holding bags when it's obvious the pump is over. Just doesn't happen anymore. It's not 2024 where people will just hold 90% down positions and then later get lucky in their meme coin and it kind of runs back up. Rarely does that happen now, even with better coins. But just on a side note, if a coin is funny and really memeable, guys, it just doesn't, like, this is the annoying thing. That used to matter when it comes to meme coins. Kind of doesn't matter that much anymore. Funnily enough, it's some of the ones that are kind of bundled or supplies kind of controlled a little bit that sometimes kind of hold their price better as they move up and sometimes can run a lot further. I know it's scammy as it is, but that's the reality right now. Let's go through a few. We've discussed some of these before. So Launchcoin, for example, looking completely dead. All of these moves look corrective. Just looks like it's been artificially held up, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't go near this one. Next, Peanut. Again, the problem with some of these older ones now is obviously not that much interest. Nobody's really talking about these actively on any social media, and they're already listed. These are listed already on all kind of major exchanges and stuff. There's not really any kind of bullish news around the corner, so to speak. And after this kind of nice run we had in April on some of the meme coins, a lot of the others have failed, but I'm not taking them completely off the watch list, because if that interest that I've showed you initially in the video, if that's correct and we do get a little final kind of pump in altcoins and meme coins, final blast off, then we might see a little something here in terms of multiples. I mean, technically speaking, these are higher lows technically, but I don't like it. So I won't touch it, but I'd keep it on the watch list. If it starts threatening something, then I would more trade it on a pullback just off a breakout, something like that. But generally, I would keep it on my watch list, but I wouldn't touch it yet. Startup is another one we discussed before, which kind of failed to really get any momentum, and now you can see it clearly, the volume's completely died off, so that would be a no-no. Mooding is another one that really struggled. So personally for me, I would chalk this off as a dead coin. I wouldn't waste time on it, but it's no harm in keeping it on a watch list in case, like I said before, the same thing happens with Peanut. Goat is another one I don't particularly like. Funnily enough, it hasn't completely died off. It's actually holding at 100 million, which is interesting. So I mean, another way to look at this is, what is your risk here really to buy if you've got a tight stop loss? Probably not that great, but another way to look at this is you could buy it before the move if it was going to do anything. Already we've got technically from here it's a lower high, so if it's going to die off now and just do nothing, then that's fine too. But is this chart here I go back to that just has me a little bit interested in some of these older coins, just for some easy, like an easy multiple, easy 2-3x. Sparkcoin's similar. It had a run, had some sharp kind of sell-offs, but really is holding support here around just under the 1 billion level. To be honest, my experience with meme coins that kind of hold support hard like that, it tends to be a kind of better sign, really. Obviously, even on the way down at these support, you're going to get some mediocre bounces. What you don't want to see is it breaking through this, because that's definitely a sign that it's over. But if it holds it, even if it taps it again and just holds that support, then that might give us a platform to do one final kind of what you might want to call euphoria phase. Don't know if there's enough energy in crypto to pull that off, but we can stay positive and hope it happens. Useless coin, pretty much useless. And as I mentioned in my last video, it doesn't, when something's pumped, it's like the Ibiza coin and it's already near 40 million. It's had a good run and it's kind of going sideways now. Your risk reward here is probably not making sense around these levels, 250, 300 million, unless you truly think it's going to go to 2 billion, which I don't really. I don't think it'd get enough volume to pump it up that high. I think best case scenario, you're probably going up to here, and then worst case down here. So what's your risk reward? It's a 50-50 coin flip. Doesn't make sense in my opinion. Housecoin looked like it was setting up here, holding on all-time highs, and yeah, it's completely died off. So as soon as it breaks those support levels, it's done, and really don't see it recovering from here personally. Troll is one that's done very well recently, and it's scenario I just mentioned, like with the useless coin. You're at a level now at 200 where you're probably at final price swing stages, and you don't know if it's just going to do that, call it a day, and you don't know exactly where that peak's going to be. And that peak could just last momentarily. It might be just for an hour or two, and you could miss it unless you've got take profit targets. Personally, I use BullX and Axiom when it comes to Memecoin trading, both linked below. So on there you can trade these coins, just copy and paste the address, and here you can use the limit order to set up automatic take profits and automatic stop losses. So with this, like I said, it's at such a high point now where it can easily get a pullback, and it could easily have topped already with volume kind of breaking down. It's very, very hard to say. I think it's it looks a decent meme. Obviously, it's got the backing of Pump Fund as well. Don't know how many millions that they might, have poured already or will pour into it. That's kind of, see, when, you've got a big platform like that or a big company and they're investing in some of their own meme coins, you can't, it's very hard to predict that, but still it'll show up on a chart. It'll show up earlier on where you saw this breaking out. And me personally, I completely missed this. And it was too late once it was getting to 150 and stuff, just going straight up. It was just too late to kind of jump on there. You can always top blast, which means you're literally buying the tops, hoping it will go even higher. But it's very, very risky game here. The time to buy was this breakout further below, and you can see all the volume kind of flooding in there. So it's a decent meme, one to keep an eye on. Now, if it does do a very healthy pullback, and it does, what you're seeing on Housecoin, like a double tap or something on support, then it'd be one that I would look at, because you can see support levels here at 150. Then it might be worth it in terms of risk reward. So you buy at 150. If it drops to 130, you leave. And if it runs, you're hoping for a 2x, maybe more, then it's worth it. Always calculate your risk reward roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect. UFD is another one, which is a shame really, from this content creator. But it's a completely dead coin in my opinion, not really doing anything at all. And the volume is very, very low. And that volume number, 300,000 in 24 hours, you need volume in the millions to pump these coins. So I think it's very unlikely this will suddenly do a recovery. Next, Popcat, again an older coin. Similar kind of setup here. Had that run in April. It's kind of holding support levels. We had a very strong sell-off here, 22nd of July, when Bitcoin and altcoins, everything was selling off, and it's kind of bounced here. It's tricky. It's like in the middle, like off this range. It's literally in the middle right now, and it's like, which way do you pick? One way to kind of approach it is, let's say, because it's looking like a nice extended move here. So when I look at this move, that could be a 3, 4, 5. There's a nice extension in the middle. So let's say this was a genuine impulse move, and we're beginning something else. Well, then what you could do is ape in somewhere around here. And then if it gets to just 300 or just under 300, you're out of the position. That's one way you could probably approach it. Because if the price messes around under the 280 mark here, I won't touch it. Very likely it's completely done for. But the thing with meme coins is they move quickly. And I've mentioned before, if we get that final euphoria phase in altcoins and meme coins, I think it's only 2-3 weeks it's going to last, not long. Meme coins don't need long. If you go back with Popcat on a daily chart here, when it had some of its crazy moves, let's say from the lows here, beginning of September, by October, it already ran up, what is it, 2-3x or more? but earlier on it was even faster than that. So things can move very, very quickly. Again, these are corrective, just to be clear, these are not moves where I think in any way, shape or form these are going to run to all-time highs or anything like that. All we're trading here, in my opinion, is a little bounce up to here. So we're just trading a larger kind of ABC structure. But from 300 to a billion, or just shy over a billion, it's a 3x. That's why it's interesting to watch. But when you look at the bars below, you can see volume's not returned. You can see volume's very, very low at the moment. So the strategy here is to maybe get in a good position, be holding a little bit of profit and get in before the obvious volume returns. So for example, here we're already moving, and then we're already half the way up before the really big volume started to ape back in, and then obviously we sold off quickly. So if we do get a run, gotta take profits. Giga, this particular one, don't really like looking at this chart. Looks a lot more overlappy. Is making ever new lows here as well from the recent moves we saw in June. So I don't think it looks anywhere near as strong. So I'm just comparing chart by chart in the range. Some look weaker, and some in the same range look a lot stronger. That's the difference. Fog is another one. It's done well previously, and again the chart, if you look at the range, it looks very, very weak. It's messing about at the lows of the range. Don't really like that in terms of setup. Noob is one that actually is kind of doing quite well. Nice kind of round off here where we went sideways for months, and slowly but surely we kind of gained some momentum here. We had an initial impulse move. This is why I'm looking at these moves. I look at a move, and then off the lows I look to see if we've done a higher low, and then we've done an impulse again, and then another higher low. This is what I think might be happening with, let's say, something like Popcat. You can see it's a very similar thing. We move up, higher low, little impulse, and then hopefully a bit of a pullback to get in, and then price kind of constricts, and then volume pours in, and then we get kind of blast off where we get a nice little run. And you can see once they start running, they just pretty vertical. And if you're in profit, you don't have to panic. The time when you have to panic is after they move, you top blast, and then you're buying big green candles, and you're taking a hell of a risk. Retardio, I'll mention this one as well. I think it's very similar to Giga. I don't like that price action personally at all. So I would chalk this down to personally a dead coin. Let's talk about Housecoin. Now this one, again, lower side of range, but I'd leave it on my watch list, Leave it on my watch list. Still a little bit of volume going in. And if from this low we do create a nice higher low, so the levels, again, if you're new, fib levels, click on fib retracement, swing low to swing high there, and then we already hit the 0.5, which is fine. The golden zone here is 0.618, so 21.6 million if we do a nice bounce there. Or last kind of line in the sand is usually the 17 million, which is a 786 level. These are very, very important bounce levels. If we turn bullish there, I would wait for it to turn bullish first, and then ape in a little bit early and see if we can make some multiples. Good thing about going in a little bit earlier into the moves is even if it fails up to here somewhere, you may still walk away with a little bit of profit. Not massive, but maybe a 20-30%, which is not bad. If you think I've missed any well-known coins, please mention below. Also, if you see any scam comments about the same coin and again, it usually starts with XA32B or something like that. Obviously ignore those. Those are scam coins. These are all, also scam coins, but better well-known coins with thousands of holders and millions in volume. Thanks for listening.